A billionaire shocked the world when he adopted 4 unwanted black children from a broken system. Years later, what these kids became would break millions of hearts and inspire even more. Broken Heart Dizzy from Pain to Purpose. Their story is one you'll never forget. James Carter, a billionaire tech mogul, was known for his sharp mind and sharper tongue. At 45, he built an empire from nothing, a man who thrived on control and precision. His sprawling mansion in Silicon Valley was a testament to his success. Marble floors, glass walls, and a view of the world he'd conquered. But his life was solitary, his relationships fleeting. That changed in 2010 when he made a decision that stunned everyone. He adopted 4 black children from foster care, siblings who'd been labeled unwanted by a system that failed them. The kids, Malik, 12, Aisha, 10, Jamal, 8, and little Keisha, 5, had been bounced between foster homes in Oakland. Their mother was gone, lost addiction. Their father was a mystery. The siblings clung to each other, their bond the only constant in a world that seemed to reject them. When James, a single white man with no parenting experience, walked into their lives, it wasn't love at first sight. It was chaos, mistrust, and raw, unfiltered emotion. James sat across from the social worker, Ms. Brenda, in a cramped office that smelled of stale coffee. The kids were in the next room, their voices muffled but sharp with defiance. "You sure about this, Mr. Carter?" Ms. Brenda asked, her eyes skeptical. "These kids, they've been through hell. They don't trust easy, and they don't behave like angels." James leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "I don't need angels. I need kids who'll fight, who've got something to prove. You telling me they're too much for me?" Ms. Brenda raised an eyebrow. "I'm saying they're too much for most. Malik's got a temper. Aisha's got a mouth. Jamal's always scheming. And Keisha, she barely talks. You're a billionaire, not a miracle worker." James smirked. "Watch me." The first meeting was a disaster. Malik stood with his arms crossed, glaring at James. "You think you can buy us? We ain't your charity case." James didn't flinch. "I'm not buying you, kid. I'm giving you a shot. You want to stay in foster care, bouncing from one dump to another? Be my guest." Aisha stepped forward, her braids swinging. "You don't know nothing about us. You're just some rich white guy who thinks he's a hero." James met her gaze. "I'm no hero. I'm selfish. I want a family, and I picked you 4. You gonna make me regret it?" Jamal, small but sly, piped up. "What's in it for us? You gonna give us money? Cars." James laughed, a sharp, biting sound. "You want money? Earn it. You want cars? Learn to drive. Nothing's free here." Keisha clung to Aisha's leg, her eyes wide but silent. James knelt down, softening his tone. "Hey, little one, you don't have to say anything, but you're safe now." "Got it." She didn't nod, didn't speak, but her grip on Aisha loosened, just a fraction. The first year was a war zone. Malik clashed with James constantly, his anger a live wire. One night, after Malik snuck out and got caught sneaking back in, the two faced off in the living room. "You think you can control me?" Malik shouted, his voice cracking. "You ain't my dad." James didn't back down. "You're damn right I'm not your dad. I'm the guy who's here, Malik. You want to run? Go. But you're not dragging your siblings down with you." Malik's fists clenched. "You don't get it. Nobody wants us. Not you, not nobody." James stepped closer, his voice steady but fierce. "I want you. Issues you. You think I'd put up with your crap if I didn't." Malik stormed off, but the words lingered. Aisha, watching from the stairs, whispered to Jamal, "He's crazy. But maybe he means it." Aisha was no easier. She challenged James at every turn, testing his limits. At dinner one night, she pushed her plate away. "This food's nasty. You ever eat real food, or just this rich people garbage?" James raised an eyebrow. "You don't like it? Cook something better. Kitchen's yours." She scoffed. "You think I can't?" "I know you can't." James shot back, a challenge in his eyes. The next night, Aisha made fried chicken and collards. The kitchen a mess, but the food incredible. James took a bite and nodded. "Not bad. You're hired." She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her grin. Whatever, man. Jamal was a hustler, always scheming. He tried to sell James's old Rolex to a kid at school, claiming it was for the family. When James found out, he dragged Jamal to his office. You think stealing's going to get you somewhere? James demanded. Jamal shrugged, unrepentant. It's just business. You're rich. You don't need it. James leaned in, his voice cold. You ever steal from me again, you're out. But you want to play businessman? Fine. Pitch me an idea. A real one. Jamal, caught off guard, mumbled. Like a sneaker store? James didn't laugh. Write a plan. Costs, profits, location. Show me you're not just talk. Keisha was a quiet storm. She barely spoke, but her eyes missed nothing. One night, James found her drawing in the library, her sketches raw but powerful. Scenes of Oakland, her siblings, their old life. He sat beside her, careful not to crowd her. These are good, Keisha, he said. You ever think about art school? She shook her head, her voice a whisper. Nobody cares about my drawings. I care, James said simply. And I'm not nobody. By 2015, the dynamic had shifted. The kids were teenagers now, and while the fights hadn't stopped, there was a grudging respect. James wasn't their dad. He refused to let them call him that, but he was their rock. He pushed them hard, demanded excellence. Malik got into coding. His anger channeled into building apps. Aisha joined debate team, her sharp tunnel weapon. Jamal started a small sneaker resale business, with James as his reluctant investor. Keisha's art was winning local awards, her quiet confidence growing, but the world wasn't kind. At school, the siblings faced whispers and stares. Charity kids, some called them, Carter's projects. Malik got into a fight when a kid called James a white savior. Aisha shut down a teacher who assumed she was troubled because of her background. Jamal laughed off the insults, but they stung. Keisha drew darker, angrier art. One night, the siblings confronted James. They sat in the living room, the tension thick. Why'd you pick us? Malik demanded. Really? No BS. James didn't hesitate. Because you're fighters. I saw myself in you. Nobody gave me anything, and I had to claw my way up. I wanted kids who'd do the same. Aisha crossed her arms. You think you're one of us? You're a billionaire. You don't know our life. James's jaw tightened. I know what it's like to be counted out, to have nobody believe in you. You think I don't see the crap you deal with? The looks, the whispers? I can't change that, but I can give you tools to fight it. Jamal leaned forward. So what? You want us to be grateful? Kiss your feet. James snorted. Hell no. I want you to be better than me. Richer, smarter, tougher. You think I'm doing this for applause? Keisha, barely audible, said, You could have picked anybody. Why us? James looked at her, his voice softer. Because you four are a team. You got each other's backs. That's worth more than money. By 2020, the siblings were adults, carving their own paths. Malik, 22, had launched a tech startup, using James's connections but refusing his money. Aisha, 20, was at Stanford, studying law, her debates now legendary. Jamal, 18, had turned his sneaker hustle into a streetwear brand, with stores in LA and New York. Keisha, 15, was still in high school, but her art was being exhibited nationally, her work raw and unapologetic. James was proud, but never said outright. He didn't need to. The siblings knew. They still fought, still pushed each other's buttons, but the bond was unbreakable. They become a family, not perfect, but real. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2025, James was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He kept it quiet, but the siblings found out. They confronted him in his office. The air heavy with fear and anger. Why didn't you tell us? Malik shouted, his voice shaking. You think we can't handle it? James, weaker than they'd ever seen him, met his eyes. I didn't want you to worry. You've got your lives now. Aisha's voice cracked. Our lives? You're our life, you idiot. You think we'd be here without you? Jamal, usually the joker, was quiet, his eyes red. You can't just leave us, man. You don't get to do that. Keisha, now 20, grabbed James's hand, her voice fierce. You fought for us. Now we're fighting for you. James tried to laugh, but it came out choked. You're gonna make me cry, and I don't do that. The siblings didn't let him go quietly. They rallied, using every resource, Malik's tech connections, Aisha's legal savvy, Jamal's hustle, Keisha's art, to fund research, to raise awareness, to fight for a cure. They launched a foundation in James's name, pouring millions into cancer research. Malik built an app to connect patients with trials. Aisha lobbied for policy changes. Jamal designed a clothing line, with all profits going to cause. Keisha's art became the campaign's heart. Her pieces raw and hopeful, displayed in galleries worldwide. At a gala for the foundation, the siblings took the stage. The room was packed. Politicians, celebrities, donors. Malik spoke first, his voice steady but emotional. James Carter didn't just give us a home. He gave us a fight. He taught us to never back down, to never let the world tell us who we are. He's not here tonight. He's too stubborn to leave his hospital bed. But he's why we're here. Aisha stepped forward, her eyes blazing. People look at us and see a story. Billionaire adopts black kids. Big deal. But it's not about him saving us. It's about us saving each other. James isn't our savior. He's our family. Jamal, ever the showman, grinned through tears. Y'all know I like to hustle. But this is the real deal. We're fighting for James, for every family like ours. So open your wallets, 'cause we ain't stopping. Keisha, last, held up a painting. A portrait of James and the four of them, fierce and unbroken. He saw us when nobody else did. Now we see him, and we're not letting go. The room erupted, donations pouring in. The video of their speech went viral, shared millions of times. People wept, inspired by a family that wasn't born but built, forged in fire and love. James passed away 6 months later, surrounded by the siblings. His last words were simple. You four, you're my legacy. The foundation grew, saving countless lives. Malik's tech revolutionized healthcare access. Aisha became a senator, fighting for the marginalized. Jamal's brand became a cultural force, uplifting communities. Keisha's art inspired a generation. Their story, raw, messy, real, touched millions. It wasn't about a billionaire or unwanted kids. It was about family, about fighting for each other, about love that refused a break. And it broke hearts, not with tragedy, but with hope.